This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning and welcome to Monday here in the Western Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park. We're at Djuma Private Game Reserve. We are on a live safari in case you've stumbled across this stream. My name is James Henry, on camera is Owen, and why am I so frantically shouting at you so early in the morning? Well, the answer is that there is a leopard going close by to our dam camera, which is very near our camp, and so I've just turned around. We're going to go speeding down towards that area and see if we can come up with Tingana the male leopard or whoever else might be calling. As always, the first 45 minutes of the show are dedicated to the youngsters, so if you are a youngster, physically, not just at heart, you can send us an email to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Ask us any questions you like about Africa, conservation, the animals we're trying to find, the animals we're seeing, and hopefully we'll have some good action for you on Monday morning. It's about 16 degrees Celsius today, 61 degrees Fahrenheit, and is, well, overcast, so a bit gloomy overhead. Well, that doesn't mean that it's going to be a bad day, it just means that it's a bit cloudy. We're driving quite quickly to get down towards the dam area where there is a camera on permanently. And hopefully we'll find a leopard. Now, all the way 110 kilometers or so to the west on Mountain Watch is Taylor McCurdy, and she is now going to tell you what the mountains are doing this morning.
How exciting that you might see a leopard with James in a little bit if he's quick enough to follow up. Good morning, everybody, from Cormorants Game Reserve. I like that we start our day every day and end our day with the Drakensberg Mountains. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Alex. There he is. You can't see him. Sometimes he forgets to wave. He gets a little bit shy. But I've got a really cool animal that I want to show all of you that are watching this morning. I think I'm going to... Should I roll forward a little bit, or are you happy with this, Alex? Okay, we're going to do a sneaky maneuver here. I'm not supposed to be moving, but I like to live life on the edge. Look at all those giraffe there. I'm going to get you a view of the little one in the distance. There we go. That's a bit better. The other one had its head tucked in the trees, but I suppose that's what happens when you are so tall. So those aren't fully grown giraffe. They're still young. They've still got a long way to go before they have to worry about bumping their heads on the tops of the trees. But this is the type of giraffe, the southern giraffe, that we get in this area. And they're having breakfast now, although I don't think they've stopped eating for the whole day, even though they don't really lay down to go to sleep. I've seen them having lots of naps during the day. They don't need to sleep for 8 hours like you and I. So I think they've been moving around and just nibbling on some leaves, which is what they eat. I suppose when you have a long neck like that, it would be silly to eat grass. But their bodies cannot even digest the grass. They can't use all the nutrients and all the nice vitamins and the good things in the grass. They have to get them from the leaves. Now, it's a pity that the sun hasn't risen yet, which is why it's still quite dark here. It's just starting to rise just behind us, and we should get a better view. Peyton, all the way from New Zealand, 6 years old, has asked probably the most interesting question this morning. Well, the first one that I've had. You said, how do you get so close to the animals without them attacking you? Very carefully, Peyton. Very, very carefully. But we're actually not that close. It's an optical illusion, as you can see. We're all the way, well, I'm here, and the giraffe are all the way over there. So it's quite fast. We've got these really cool cameras that allow us to get very close to them, it's great that you get to sit at home and watch it on your big TV screen, or maybe you're watching it on a computer or a laptop. Now, when you drive around all the time with these animals, they start to get used to you. And the more and more you spend time with them, they become a bit more relaxed. But you have to be very careful about how you do it. If you come racing on in here at 1,000,000 miles an hour and slam on brakes and, hoot at them, they're probably never going to like you very much, and they're going to run away all the time. So it's best to do things nice and quietly. And you can see I can actually talk at a normal level, and they don't even care. But also, animals will have different levels of comfort zone. So just because we're this close to a giraffe, it doesn't mean that we could get this close to a rhinoceros or a hippopotamus or a buffalo. And each animal is different because of their experiences with these big cars. But most of the time they relax quite nicely. And can you believe it, that it's the lions and the leopards that end up being the most relaxed with the cars, especially when we're driving, often in these areas, like where James is. The leopards and lions are so relaxed. The lions and the cheetah are very relaxed here at Cormorants Game Reserve, and some of the leopards are also very relaxed. And Peyton, they'll walk right past the car. Can you imagine sitting here with a lion, a wild lion or a leopard walking right past the car? Sometimes even the giraffe come really, really close to. And I think if we just sat here for long enough, they might come out into the road. But, I don't like to put my knife and fork down until all my food is finished. So they're being good. They're eating all their vegetables today. You can see them. And even in the morning, there's still some insects that are annoying them because you can see their tails swishing around. And that's only going to get worse and worse. That tail's going to be swatting all over. It's very important for animals. Look at that little bird. That's an oxpecker, but hopefully we see some more of those birds because they're quite funny to watch them pick all sorts of things off of the animals. There's one more person that you haven't met just yet, and her name is Trishala.
Hello everyone, yes it's me, it's Trishala with Darby on camera this morning, and I think that's very correct. Oxpeckers are quite funny. I like them myself. I think they look like the penguins from Madagascar. Like they're plotting against you. Or, well, not against you, but they're definitely plotting something. Much like myself this morning, I am plotting to go to Chitwa and see if Kuchava and her cub are still around. Last night, if you were watching, you would have known that she had a carcass. It was a male impala that she and her little one were feeding on. So I hope that it's still around. I hope that she managed to hoist it. Although I must say, last time I saw Kuchava with a carcass, she didn't hoist that one either. There's a couple of reasons leopards may not hoist carcasses. And that's if they have no threat of hyenas coming through, but she certainly does. Djuma clan can decide to pop themselves in there, and so can Cheetah Plains. Hi Amani, you're 10 years old and you're from Singapore. You'd like to know if we get striped hyenas here. We don't get striped hyenas here. We do get spotted hyenas here. By far the biggest and meanest of the bunch of the hyenas. We get the brown, spotted, striped, and the aardwolf. They all are types of hyenas. But we don't get the striped here. Apparently, around this area, brown hyenas have been seen, but I can confirm that I have never seen one. Hyenas are one of my favorite animals out here. Very hard to choose, but I can say that I'm very, very curious about them. They're amazing to watch. They really are, and I think James may be heading to the hyena den a little bit later, and then you'll know exactly what I mean. Alright, I have made my way to the southern boundary now, and Eric and andBeyond's Ngala would like to say hello, so I'm going to send you over to him while I make our way to Chitwa.
Good morning everyone, and welcome to andBeyond Ngala for the morning. My name is Eric, and behind me as always, behind the camera is Marcel. Oh, just as we go live, we get to the trickiest part of the river. But as you can see, we're in the riverbed, and what we're hoping to do for the morning is kind of start off where Nikki left off yesterday. So try and move into the area where we think that pride of lions might have been moving around last night. If they were moving, there's a good chance that they could have crossed the river. So they were basically, the tracks were seen on the right hand side of us. So Sean and Roan, who I'm sure you know very well by now, have gone out looking exactly where they last saw the tracks, and we're going to be driving through the riverbed. It's amazing how quickly conditions have changed. We were out at 5:30 for our sound checks and everything, and it was a crystal clear blue sky. There wasn't, or not blue, black at that stage, but we could just see the sun rising above the riverbed, and it was just turning this beautiful red color. And then I was looking with the spotlight. Marcel all of a sudden said, "Look at the clouds." And literally within about 15 seconds, this whole bank of clouds started moving in, and it was moving incredibly quickly. Now, the wind up there must be blowing super strong, and it's blowing in a northerly direction, and now there's actually not a single patch of blue sky around us. So what I thought was going to be a beautiful crisp blue morning is going to change completely. But I guess that will increase the chances of those lions moving around a little bit more. If we find them nice and late, hopefully there'll be more chance of them moving rather than us just seeing them. So it's what we'll be doing for at least the first hour and a half of the game drive. So Finn, the rarest animal that we see, I would have to go with the pangolin, or the scaly anteater, a lot of people know it by. And the reason being is that it's such a secretive animal. It's very small, so when it's in long grass, it's hard to find. They come out at very odd hours of the day, sometimes right in the early hours of the morning when we're not out and about. But sometimes they do move around in the morning and in the late afternoons. And I have, in the last 2 years being here, I've seen it 4 times. So that's probably one of the rarest animals, I think. An animal that I've only seen once here at Ngala and once in my whole entire life is a caracal. So a small cat, red with long pointy ears. But that's more common throughout the whole continent. It's not as rare as a pangolin. So a pangolin for sure is the rarest thing I've seen. Alrighty, so we're looking for lions, James is looking for leopards. The race is on, so let's see what James is up to.
James is driving down back towards the waterhole. I've come past here once. I thought I may have heard a saw as I turned off this car, but frankly, 300 leopards sawing in a great chorus, perhaps even attempting to sing Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, would not be able to vaguely compete with the noise of this engine. So I don't think my hearing is going to get us very far. So what we're going to do is get up onto the waterhole here and then turn off and have a listen while we look at the grebes and see if we can't hear Tingana or whoever it is calling. There are the grebes, and on the nest. Say when. Good. So let's switch off now and listen as we look at the 2 baby grebes. Look at them. Aren't they sweet? If you haven't met these chaps before, they were born when? About a week ago. Must be about a week ago now. do look a little cold, but they won't be because they've got lovely covering of feathers, and they could even be swimming now, and they wouldn't be too cold. Now, these leopards normally call just kind of as it gets light, so I suspect that whoever was calling around here will probably have stopped by now. Isn't that cute? Mum and Dad are out foraging. There goes one of the adults, skidding across. Another one skidding across. Having a bit of acrobatics there. There they go. Skidding across. Can you see them, Owen?
Yeah.
Middle of frame. Looks like a bit of conflict there. Wonder if that juvenile isn't there. Tracy, common birds that would hear at night would be fire-necked nightjars, various owl species, barn owl, scops owl, barred owl, Verreaux's eagle owl sometimes, spotted eagle owl sometimes. That's very cute. What else? Spotted thick-knee, water thick-knee, bronze-winged courser. Those would be the common birds that we'd hear in the night. And yes, they do alarm at predators. Sometimes it's difficult to tell if they're alarming or being territorial or what they're doing exactly. There's a great deal of displaying going on there. In case you're wondering, that fence in the background is the fence of Weatela Lodge, which is part of Djuma. He's going to land. Watch this. It's going to be cool. That was so cool. Nice one, dog. Good morning. How are you? Good flight. Looks all flattened. Your bebes are hungry. Look at them. And cold. They want some warmth. They're getting under the duvet now. They're getting a bit big now. See that? Doesn't fit anymore. All right, let's go across to Trishala. She's made it to Chitwa, which is to the southeast of Djuma, and she's got a bebe something.
I do have a bebe, and yes, we are at Chitwa Dam. There, Darby, I'm so sorry, it's right at the corner there. So there's mum and baby. It just popped out now, it's put its head back down, just at where that water bit is there. So it was right at the dam wall with, it was mum, who's just popped the head out there. And then a small baby. No, that's not you. Where's small baby gone? Oh, man. Oh, there we go. There we go. Very cool. Well done. Very nice. Very nice. So at least we got to see it, but the mum's being quite defensive. I actually wonder if this baby is not very new, because she was hanging out very close to the dam wall. And when we approached, she was not particularly relaxed, shall we say. And I think she's going to hide baby away a little bit. But that's excellent. There's a little one. And one popped its head out again just now. That was tiny. Anyway, we are making our way. Okay, there's one head up again. I love the way they move their ears downwards when they dive. Oh, I think that's the last we'll see of baby. But that was great. They were right here, right at the edge of the dam. Right there, the two of them. Now, mom hippos, they give birth in the water, and they'll look for a nice shallow spot, usually away from the rest of the bloat. That's what we call a group of hippos, or a pod. They'll do that. So I wonder if she was trying to keep in a nice safe spot for the little one. And I'm glad that you managed to see it a little bit. But Rachel, you'd like to know if hippos have predators? Not exactly. Nothing that specializes in preying on hippos. Although little ones, babies, can get taken by other male hippos. That's the majority of the way in which they are killed, if they are. And also crocs can sometimes be a problem. But remember, animals that live in groups have a very big advantage. And that unless they're caught on their own, it's difficult to get them because there's other members that you've got to deal with. Now, that may not always be the case, that other members in a group will come and run to your rescue. But the potential is there, and that can create a problem. So that's the deal with hippos as well. Say, baby hippo manages to get into the jaws of a crocodile. That's not nice at all. And if that manages to happen, then it's going to be quite something, because the other hippos are going to come along and be very upset with that crocodile, and it can actually hurt it very badly. Right, we're going now around the back of Chitwa, which is not particularly pretty. So instead, I shall show you the fruit of a poison apple. Just if I can manage to do that without touching the electric fence. Yellow one's just down there. There we go. There we go. Some poison apple fruit. And yes, they're poisonous. And yes, nothing has eaten it. It's a good indication that something is not good for an animal. It's still around. Anyway, Eric at andBeyond in Ngala is out and about and wants to speak to you. I think he wants to give you an update. So let's go over to him.
Jeepers, there's lots of them here. Welcome back, everyone. We have actually just seen tracks of lions crossing that riverbed, a few of them at least, so they could have been hunting, but we've just come to check one or two of these open areas, and we've seen something rather special here. Look at all of these hyenas. This is quite incredible. 1, 2, 3, yeah, a few of them playing around with one another. And look at their legs, very, very dark legs and quite spotted body. So it looks like there's a few youngsters at least. Then the rest of the clan just seem to be spread out flat and full bellied. So counting from left to right, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of the cheapest creepers. Shame one of them is getting picked on there. So Liam, you're asking if hyenas laugh out loud, and they do actually. And hyenas have got lots and lots of different calls. I think people have heard about 14 or 15 different calls. That laugh out loud that you are thinking about is when they're very, very excited. And so it's usually when there's a kill around, and they almost use it as like an intimidation to try and scare away something. So if there's a big pride of lions that is feasting on something, you might find that they'll all start giggling and cackling. And that's, I guess, just a way to try and intimidate the lions off of the carcass, maybe just try and form some sort of cohesion with a clan or a group so that they can work together to drive away the lions. Otherwise, the most common call that we hear is a whipping call, and that's when they're trying to find other individuals of the clan. And so what they'll often do is they'll put their head down onto the ground and they call, they go whoop, and that just allows the sound to travel very far. And I mean, if we look at all of them, all 12 of them, it's quite unusual to see them in a big open area like this. So they'll all know each other very, very well. So if they hear a hyena calling, they'll be able to identify. So they'll be able to identify each individual. And a few people are asking if they're being mean to that one individual. And I think it's probably just mostly playfulness between youths. Although they do have quite a strict hierarchy within the clan. So it might be that one of them is a much lower rank than the other one, and they're just getting disciplined and getting reminded that they're lower rank than the other ones. And one of them is coming straight over towards us. Big, big, big full belly.
What did you eat?
Yeah. I mean, you just have to think with a few of them being so full and tracks of lions around. I wonder if the lions maybe didn't kill something and finished it off last night, and maybe a whole group of these hyenas were lucky enough to find the carcass, and that's why so many of them are looking very full and sleepy. See, a lot of them are focused on some impalas, and a few of them are actually making their way towards them now. And these impalas I think they walked out into these open clearings and they saw these hyenas. And because the hyenas might have been up and about, plus the pressure of getting chased around by a male, forced a lot of them to run across these open clearings. And I'm sure these hyenas are just trying to figure out if they're getting chased by a predator. Maybe see if there's another quick, easy meal for them. Quite amazing to see so many of them in a big group. Usually it's just around a den site, but out in the open. So Khan, you're 6 years old and you're asking how fast a hyena can run. And I mean, they can't run very, very fast. But the special thing about hyenas is they've got lots and lots of endurance. So basically they can hold their speed for long periods of time. And so instead, you might know a cheetah is the fastest animal in the world. They run very quickly, but they can only run for 400 or 500 meters. That might only be a few seconds at a time. Whereas a hyena, I mean, its top speed, I actually don't know the top speed, but I could guess probably around 40 to 50 kilometers an hour, maybe a little bit more than that. And they'll be able to sustain that speed much, much further, so they can keep that speed over very long periods at a time. And that's that's their advantage compared to a cheetahs or a lions or even a leopard, I guess. A couple of them lying down again, so they've lost interest in those impalas, and the impalas have settled down again in a big group. So they've obviously realized that there's no predator, there's no quick meal, and so they're happy to rest up for the rest of the morning. I'd have to think that there's some sort of den site around this area. Rian's asking why that one hyena, one of the youngsters, is so pale, and I think it's just a different coloration within the skin. I mean, there's one that is exactly the same age and has got a much darker skin. I mean, this one that's walking towards the very pale one has also got quite a pale skin. If you look by the tail and by the back legs, pretty similar color. And I wonder if that wasn't a gene that might have been passed on between them. Let's see if there's some sort of greeting ceremony here. Let's see what happens. See, I don't think that's bullying. I think that's much more affection than bullying. Yeah, and that one has had enough. It's going to follow one of the other youngsters. Another really, really big one up and about. There's a few of them that are starting to get up and move now. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them that are moving. Oh, that one at the back, very, very full. Oh, that one there. Alrighty, so we are going to probably stick around this area for another few minutes and see if we can find any sign of those lions. But in the meantime, sending you back to Djuma, where Trish is waiting for you.
Yes, I am waiting for you, and I'm not the only one waiting for you. So is Kuchava's little cub. Hello. And Mum is also around. She's just obscured by very beautiful balanites. Very little one. Hello, Kuchava. So we're here at the carcass on Chitwa, on the driveway, which we... Oh, that's nice. Where we always check for her. This road I drive every single time on Chitwa, just in case I see her. The first time I saw her and her cub was on this road, and the second time here too. So now I feel good about all those times I drive here and am not fruitful, because at least it's for good, practice. At least we knew that she would be around here. Have you eaten enough today? No? You need to eat a little bit more. Well, now this carcass is a little bit smelly. Yesterday when we came here, it was very, very fresh. And as you can see, not hoisted yet. But quite smelly. Hi Gabby, you're 14 years old and you're in Pretoria. You'd like to know what's the difference between the bush and the jungle. There's actually not that much of a difference. Usually jungle is associated with, it's still a wild area, and it's associated more with slightly wetter areas. A bush, also a very loose term, and it can mean anything from savanna, mixed woodland, broadleaved woodland, or a mix of all of those things, which is kind of what we have here. And both are just descriptions of an area that's wild, at least as far as I know. You may describe parts of Africa as having jungle. You may describe parts of them as having bush. But I've always associated bush with dryness and jungle with slightly wetter conditions and more trees, canopies, and things like that. But by definition, I'm not sure if there might actually be a huge difference, or if it's just a word to portray similar ideas or to describe similar things. sometimes those words are used interchangeably. Look at how dense the spots are, or the rosettes. We call those patterns on a leopard a rosette because it looks like a little rose. There's a couple spots bunched together. We're playing hide and seek. Everyone is just sat in the perfect places for us not to see them. Hello, Zach, you're 6 years old and you're from Cape Town, and now all you can see are little spots through those bushes. But you'd like to know, why is animal poop called scat? Why the word scat, I wouldn't know. Why they use the word scat, but I can tell you that scat is only used for predator poo or carnivores poo. Animals that are herbivores, we call that dung. Somebody's playing behind that bush, and I need to find a way to move without getting us into a bush. Let's try. Davy, I'm just going to roll a little bit and see if it works. No, of course it won't work. It's too bushy here. How am I on your side, Davy? Okay. Nope, now there's another bush in the way, of course. A little bit more, Davy. This will have to do for now until we can find a better position. This is apart from the fact that I have a sickle bush in my face. Hello, Khan. You're 6 years old. You'd like to know, do leopards have very sharp teeth? Leopards do have sharp teeth. They have large canines. And they're nice and sharp. You guys are playing with us. Yes. Those teeth are sharp, and they also have really sharp teeth at the back of their mouths. You know the teeth you use to chew? Some of their teeth, a few of them at the back, are modified. That means that they've changed to slice and be very, very sharp. So they slice meat with the back of their teeth. Kind of like maybe how you might have eaten a drumstick, a chicken drumstick. Sometimes you put it in the back of your mouth and chomp it off. Hello, gorgeous. So they do have sharp teeth. And they need that so that they can pull meat off and eat. Hi, Lucas, you're from Australia. You'd like to know, how long do leopard babies stay with their mums? They're independent, about a year and a half. That means they can take care of themselves, they can make their own kills, and they're happy to be away from mum. Sometimes it can be a little bit younger. Maybe their mother leaves him or something happens to their mother, like with Hosanna and Shongile, who was another leopard family we had. Their mum left them earlier than that. Or it could be later, and sometimes... Listen, I want you to listen. Not sure if you heard this. There was a scissor-like sound. Just like when you're cutting paper. And Khan, you were asking about the sharpness of the teeth. I told you about those back teeth that are very sharp. Those are the ones she was using to make that scissor-like sound. Tommy and Lamb, you'd like to know, do leopards ever get toothache? I'm sure that at some time their teeth do hurt, especially if they break it, because teeth are very sensitive. They have nerves in them. You know when you hurt your teeth or you break your tooth or something like that, it hurts. And some things all mammals have in common, such as the structure of maybe their legs. Speaking of legs, there you have two legs in the air. The structure of the legs, or the skull, or the teeth, or the vertebrae, the back. Those type of things. Don't worry, I'm not going to steal your food. Those type of things have a similar type of plan, and it's just modified. So teeth have nerves in them, and it can hurt. So I'm sure they feel some sort of pain when they damage their teeth, break it. She's made a fort out of her impala kill now. Hi Rachel, you're 14 years old from Hanoi. That is an excellent question. I'm going to try to look at you and not get impaled by this. It's a sickle bush, everyone. You'd like to know if the cub leaves the mum and then actually meets up with her again in the bush, will she be, or they recognize each other? Leopards are known to recognize their kin. Kin are animals that are related to them, sometimes even to a third generation. But they will still protect their territories, protect their kills. But I do think that they can recognize each other. Especially our experience here, being at Djuma, has really taught us, or being with WildEarth rather, because we're on Chitwa at the moment, has really taught us that though we always think of leopards as solitary, and that they would be on their own most of the time, they definitely interact with their kin, more so than I would have ever expected, given how much I've read on the biology of leopards. Lalamba that we get on Djuma, she associates with her father Tingana often, very often. I think that they will recognize them. Alright, this is not the only cat today, can you believe it? Taylor, no doubt, has to be Taylor. She's got a cheetah walking past her car, so let's go over. Oh no, oh no. Well, Taylor did have a cheetah walking by, but hopefully she'll be back with us soon, and you'll be able to see another cat for the morning. Now, cheetahs and leopards are quite different. Cheetahs have round spots, plain spots, like you took a little marker and you went spot, 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 spot all over. While leopards have the rosettes that I was telling you about. They're like little spots joined slightly. But they've got normal spots on the head. Just gorgeous. Well, kids, continue to watch if you'd like to, but we're now going to invite everyone else to come on board, enjoy the sighting with us, and send us your questions and your comments using the hashtag WildEarth, the YouTube chat stream, or Twitch, whatever you like. and come and enjoy this glorious Monday morning. Is it Monday morning here?
I think so.
I think so. Yeah, I think we're right. Most days become a blur out in the bush. But the light is starting to get stunning. Our girl here has her cub up on the mound, but I can barely see. I'm hoping that she'll come down and eat soon. Now, we first thought, or at least I did, that this little cub was a female. But last night, I was not sure if under the tail I might have seen a bulge or two. So we should have a better look once this one comes down. Anyway, I'm going to try and reposition in a place where I'm a little bit safer from this tree next to me. And while I do that, I'll send you over to James for an update.
We are driving along. We did find some leopard tracks, some male and female, and I haven't figured out where they've gone yet, so, you know, who knows. It's a pretty miserable morning weather-wise, so normally at this time of the day you're starting to feel the sun shining on your face, starting to feel rather good about life. Today it's feeling a bit ugh. Hopefully it won't last. It doesn't want to have wintry weather and overcast skies. Okay, let's go to the little junction over here and see if we can find any sign of our quarry. Most likely Tlalamba, the female, and Hukamuri, the male. Hukamuri, he who is known as chicken medicine. We'll just turn off here and have a look-see on the road. Hukamuri. I don't see any tracks of Hukamuri. I don't hear the sounds of impala shouting. Hello, Maya, aged 10 in Arizona. If I could be an animal, what would I be? It varies depending on the day. At the moment, I think I'd be a batelier. I'd be a batelier eagle because that means that I could fly around and I could see where the leopards I was trying to find are. And also they live a long time. And also they are good looking. And also they are able to hide away from predators because they can fly away. And they're big enough to defend themselves. So I would be a batelier today. Thank you, Maya. Now, oft times does Hukamuri come along this road. I don't see any sign of him just at the moment. Maybe we'll meet him coming the other way, and he will make life easy for us. But that has not been the wont of the leopards of late. Many of you now encouraging Hukamuri. I didn't hear any further sawing around the dam camp, so we just kind of carried on and eventually found a few tracks. I'm not convinced of the immense freshness of these ones, though. But we will grind our way slowly up the hill. Rather hoping for a bird at this stage. Oh, thank you, everybody agreeing that being a batelier would be a nice thing. I think so. Good eyes, pretty good ears. Everyone thinks you're pretty good looking. Okay diet. There's a bit of scavenging involved, but that's okay. Purple Grammar, you say my first answer was an earthworm. No, that's my spirit animal. My spirit animal is the earthworm. Doesn't mean I want to be one. Nay, I see not the footprint of the male leopard Hippopotamus. So where has he gone? And why does he thwart me so? Then you could just call them. Hippopotamus, Hippopotamus. Right, as I'm hacking about here, let's go back to somebody who actually found the leopard yesterday.
That would be me. She's actually out and calling for her cub, but she doesn't kind of realize that the cub is on that side. There we go. She's actually looking in my direction and calling. Carcass is still looking good because she's got some fresh blood on her face, so hasn't gone thick and rancid like it tends to. Who are you calling? Oh, she's playing with her. Awesome little interaction there. She's trying to get the little one to come out and play. Possibly just come out and eat. And round they've gone. It's incredible how this block has looks so sparse, like there's so many places to drive in, but in fact it is a difficult one to navigate. Oops, I just dropped my gear stick, or my little knob for the gear. Let's go round since they've both moved. Hi, Amanda. You'd like to know if female leopards soar? Yes, they do. Because both females and males are territorial, they both engage in territorial behavior, so they both will soar. Maybe we'll get a good view now. They've been playing so many... Oh no! Oh no! Oh, yes. I thought I drove over some scat. I just missed it. Yay. Okay, we have Taylor back and she's got those cheetah cubs. So let me send you over to her before you do so.
Hello and welcome back to Corongwe, where we've finally found the cheetah female and her two cubs. Now apologies for the fence line, and then of course you're going to hear some cars as we're quite near a road, but I've got an interesting story to tell you. But if this is your first time joining us, we're on Corongwe Private Game Reserve, which is about 9,000 hectares of wilderness. There's over 400 kilometers of road network. And of course this cheetah enjoys it down in this area. So just a quick recap, because I know we've always got new people jumping on in. This is quite a young female cheetah. It's her first litter of cubs, and there are two of them. The other one is just playing off in the grass, and if they keep going in the direction that they're going, we might get them in a nice open area. But we've sat quite far back from them just to let mom do her thing. She's looking quite thin, and probably needs a meal. So we don't want to interfere with her potentially catching any animals that might be moving just off to the right around here. But isn't this amazing? You can I don't think you're going to hear the chirps, unfortunately, of that little cheetah, but you can see it as it's opening its mouth. It's not letting out a meow or sort of typical whiny sound that I suppose young cats make, but in fact they are letting out chirps. Andrea, I know that you're in heaven right now. It's going to get even better, because if this female goes where I'm hoping she goes, and she has spent we've seen her there quite a few times, it's going to be awesome, because it's just off from the fence line. Oh, careful, don't get too close. There's the other cheetah cub, and it's nice and open for these young cats to stretch their legs. They actually did a walk by, so we pulled right off the road for them, and Mom looked around at us for a little bit before she and the little ones moved on past. And actually Mom moved past us, and the little ones played around right next to the vehicle, which was awesome, because we've slowly started the habituation process of these animals. Not the female. This adult is quite relaxed. Thank you for turning and looking at us on cue. She's a very well-trained cheetah. I'm of course joking. She's a wild cheetah. We'll get into her story, because I haven't told her story just yet, as we've all been so excited to watch those little cubs play. But now that we're getting decent views, I think that we can pay Mom the attention that she deserves. So I was chatting to an Endangered Wildlife Trust employee, and he's actually responsible for working with the cheetah populations across South Africa, which is quite interesting. And it seems as though this female cheetah is from a reserve not too far away from here. And what I found fascinating is that the reserve that she came from didn't have any lions on. Now, Karongwe's got quite a big pride of lions that live around here. She did go into a boma first, so an enclosed area that she could just get used to her new surroundings before she was released onto the 9,000 hectares. And considering this was her first time with experience with, big predators like lions, or the biggest cat we of course have in Africa, she's doing quite well. That's normally one of the largest sort of threats to cheetah populations. And the fact that her cubs have lasted this long is also quite impressive, being a first-time mother. They're just under 2 months old or so now. We're sort of roughly guessing their age. So she's doing well, and the reason why I said is I've now only just recently learned this information as to where this cheetah's mother has come from. So she's also from a reserve not too far away, and she escaped from the Blue Canyon Reserve, and they captured her on the R36, which is this road that basically runs along Karongwe Game Reserve. So isn't that fitting? Perhaps those genetics have passed on, that she just wants to be an escapee and live a life running between the reserves and on main roads, which is not safe. But they safely captured her mother and relocated her, and then have brought obviously one of her offspring to Karongwe. And her mom has genetics from an area where I'm from, so I feel quite connected to the cheetah. Her mother has genetics from Cape. The Mountain Zebra National Park, which is from the Eastern Cape, which is where I am from in South Africa. So that's quite a distance away. So it's just amazing the conservation work that all these different programs are doing to try and keep the genetics diverse between cheetah, especially considering their populations are very threatened. Sorry, Kirst, who is directing the show, what did you say? I didn't quite catch that. Wait, hang on, grab Mom's legs, learning how to hunt already, I see. Mom's not interested, she's just going to carry on plodding along. There we go. I will now try and stalk my sibling. Oh no, I'll just lay down like a swimsuit model in the sun, that's fine. I think we can try and move a little bit further forward. Did you hear? Oh. I've been given permission to try and move. Let's try. I'm going to go very slowly. I've actually put the vehicle in low range now, just so that I can also take my feet off of the pedals, because I'm lazy. And we can just move slowly along the fence line. You'll see every now and then it's quite Okay, from this distance it's hard to see. She'll turn, the mother will turn back and just look at us, just keeping a close eye on what we're doing, and also a close eye on those two little ones, because well, it wouldn't be entertaining if there wasn't some technical difficulties with me. I'm going to send you back across to the Sabi Shoshana.
Look at her face. We've managed to reposition after quite an extensive game of cat and mouse between a Cheetah cub and our vehicle. But as always, we went all the way around, and that helped. Now she's poised perfectly on top of a termite mound. That's an awesome spot to be in. You can watch out for your carcass. You can watch out for any approaching scavengers, perhaps some hyenas, maybe even other leopards that may smell your carcass. Hi Kira, you're 13 years old from LA. You'd like to know? When did they make this kill? I suspect it was yesterday afternoon. If I had to choose a time, I'd probably say around 3. Because when I got here... Oh, had a little one. When I got here, the kill was very, very fresh. And the insides, which they usually take out first, had not even been taken out yet. So it was very, very, very fresh. Even right now, the blood is very bright and red. She's been looking out for something else. I think she's probably super aware of any hyenas that may come along. Also, Kira, yesterday when I arrived, there was no stench whatsoever from the carcass. There's still maybe half of it left. So they're really taking their time in eating. Well, while I wait for my little leopard cub to pop its head out, I'll send you back over to Taylor, who's got some playful cheetah cubs.
So guess what they've done exactly as we said, and I suppose we only knew this because we've been able to watch this female consistently for the last week, which I'm so thankful for. But now Mom was having a drink. Little one's not too bothered about drinking water. They are just sitting and watching, although they're they're licking their lips. Sorry, sometimes it takes me to get my words right. It is a bit cold here. I'm sure you saw I've got about 30 jackets on. They will drink a bit of water, but right now they're still... Oh no, actually now that we can see Mom, she's got a full belly. Well, she's a lot more full than we last saw her, so that's great news. I couldn't see her when she was walking straight down the road, and we were so fixated on the young cub. So I'm so chuffed that she has had something to eat, because I know most of you were quite concerned with the fact that she hadn't caught anything. But these are the lives of the predators. Sadly, they don't get to eat all the time like us. We can just, I suppose, open the fridge and cook something delicious. They've got to go out and get their food. Well, Martin, it seems as though this female cheetah and her cubs, well, they only know because Mom is taking them around. She likes to hang around the fence, and like I was saying, her mother seemed to, the mother of this adult female cheetah, seemed to enjoy the main roads and the fence lines too, as she took any opportunity to escape through a warthog burrow, or perhaps a hyena had dug underneath the fence, because it's quite hard to keep those animals inside reserves, which is why the fence lines are constantly patrolled and checked on a regular basis. Every single day they'll be doing their rounds, making sure that there's no gaps. Otherwise, animals can escape, and we want to keep them in here to protect them. Unfortunately, as the world has expanded, a lot of the animals and natural home ranges and territories have disappeared. So these private game reserves are really important because they have restored some areas that may have once been turned into farmland and given them a place to reside. So if this female cheetah didn't feel comfortable with walking on the fence line, she wouldn't walk it every single day. She feels at home down here, and we've mentioned it before, the predator density down in the southern section is not very high. There's always a threat of hyenas, and they will travel large distances too, and they, like I just said, they're notorious for digging in and out and underneath fences and coming and going as they kind of please. Whether she's trying to escape or not, I don't know. I doubt it. There's so much room here. Like I said, over 9,000 hectares is a huge area, but this area, the lions don't spend too much time down, so she's actually intelligent. Wow, fantastic morning, leopards with Trishala, and now you're going to go across to Ngala with Eric, who's got lions eating something delicious.
Oh, are you kidding?
What?
Call cut.
I'll link you in. I'll link you in.
Are we going across?
Yeah. Live.
Welcome back, everyone, and have a look what we've just found here. Some unbelievable scenes going on. So, managed to find Yapi and Nikki, who have been following these wild dogs for at least the last 15-20 minutes, and look what they managed to find. And we were lucky enough to be close enough to get you just before that the whole carcass was finished. It didn't take them long at all. I mean, and look at that, the whole rib cage getting dragged apart. There is very little meat left. There's only 4 wild dogs left that are feeding. It looks like there might be some of the young ones that are finishing off a bit of scraps. So nice to see, and have a look again, an impala ram. So they're definitely taking advantage of these impala rams being distracted by the rutting season, and they obviously managed to sneak up close enough to get within striking distance of this impala. Yeah. Listen, there's one calling. No way, that's awesome. Back on. Ooh, one's running away. There's a few that are still feeding. Another couple that might be moving quite quickly away from this impala that they've finished. Yeah, I can hear you now, Ghost. And a few of them maybe trying to finish off the scraps, so look at them and just listen. Look at those tails, look at how they're up in the air, waving from side to side. Yeah. Love how much those white tails stick out, especially when they stick up and move from side to side. You see a lot of them have, I mean, they're so fresh, they've still got so much blood around their face. Like that one lying down there, you just see that tinge of red. Definitely some playful ones still. And I mean, there's about 10 wild dogs here. They've completely finished an impala ram, which is really cool because a lot of the time these wild dogs get followed by hyenas, and if they make a kill, a hyena will come in and try and steal the scraps. And so it's really nice to see that the whole pack has been able to feed. But even still, there's a few that are looking quite slender. They haven't really filled themselves up enough, so they probably weren't able to get as much food as they were hoping to. Probably one of the reasons why they might, if an opportunity presents itself again today, they might try later on this afternoon, maybe even into the morning, because the temperature is just so nice and cool. It allows them to be able to move around so much. We've now had 2 and now 3 wild dogs getting up and moving quite quickly to the left, but still quite a few around the carcass, so we'll probably stick with them until they all move. There goes another one. Elizabeth was asking how much of the animal that these wild dogs eat. And Elizabeth, they don't really have the strength of their jaws like a hyena does. And so what they'll probably do is feed on most of the meat, and they will eat some of the stomach content. Well, not really the grass and the actual stomach, but everything around it. So intestines, heart, lungs, livers, they'll eat everything else. I'm not sure they'll eat the stomach content. There we go. It seems like the rest of the pack is now all moving. There's one more wild dog that's yet to go. And I mean, from feeding, if these were lions, and they would have gone and completely gone to sleep. These wild dogs are now literally moving. Oh, I don't know if we will be able to follow them for too much longer. Is it one, and we can identify him by the lack of the white tail. So we might just watch him for a little bit longer, and hopefully, with this one being one of the older ones of the pack, maybe he'll lead us towards the rest of them. So whilst we try and find them again, we're going to send you across to James, who's got some elephants.
Hooray, we've got an animal. It is a big grey animal. It is 3 big grey animals, and in fact probably about 15 grey animals that are moving through the thickets on the edges of this clearing. I'm not sure what's got up her nose. Possibly another elephant. It's lovely and peaceful here, and I really like the colours of the honeyed grass tops as they turn to their winter hues, and the grey of the elephant. Gold and grey, wonderful colour combo. What a morning, hey? Cheetahs, leopards, wild dogs, our elephants. Short of finding a velociraptor, it's difficult to know what else we could have. I'm getting orders in from my wife, who says that we could have lions and then we'd have the big cat trifecta. I think she's being a little bit greedy. Now watch them carefully, because they're not eating grass here. They've found some kind of a forb, an identified herb that they're eating. Now, there is a bit of grass. No, there isn't. So if you look at the big cow, she's picking up this creeper and then specifically excluding the grass from each mouthful. I think that's that devil's thorn. I'm going to go and have a closer look while you go back to the playing cheetah cubs at Karongwe Eco Training Camp.
I know that James is probably exceptionally envious that I'm sitting with these fluff balls, but in a way I'm also a little bit jealous of his elephants. I miss elephants so much, but I'll take Cheetah Cubs, youngsters, and Mom any day of the week. They're still moving up and down the fence line. Mom has decided she needs a break and has gone completely flat, while the two little ones do a bit of exploring. And I'm sure that you've all noticed, even just in the last couple of days that we've been seeing them, how much stronger and more balanced that they're becoming. When we first started watching them, they weren't really playing very much. They could barely run in a straight line. Their back legs would go all sideways and didn't quite know what to do. Now, we might be lucky enough. They're starting to stalk one another, and they run and jump and tumble and all those types of things. Look at this. Right, Mom hasn't seen me. She has no idea that I'm here. And I'm going to go and get her. Off she goes. And I still haven't been able to see whether they're little boys or little girls. I'm going to take my binoculars out and also have a look. But keep grabbing those screen grabs, and we'll try and sex them. Kirsty's directing. Has anybody had any idea or any good enough screenshots to see? It's hard to see. Ooh, I don't know. That was a quick glimpse there, but it was too quick. Little cheetah, can you please stand still for 2 seconds and lift your tail up and point your bottom towards us? Ross, the reason why cheetah are born with no spots, and the reason why I suppose little lion cubs, when they're born, they're covered in spots, is just to help to aid them with sort of camouflage. So all of these colorations are not random, they're there for a specific reason. And as the cheetah get older, the sort of dark fur starts to fade. Like if you've been sitting in the sun for too long, your hair starts to lighten up. And then with lions, often the spots start to disappear, but sometimes on adults you can still see some spots. Oh, what are they on? They're climbing a log now, so practicing their tree climbing skills, which if they were in East Africa or any area with open grassland, this would be very important, as sometimes the grass gets so tall that they can't even see over the top of it, and will use termite mounds and trees to get up. Now, Megan, you've said you think that one of them is a female. Fingers crossed. That's what we really need. We really need some more females so that we can send them off to all different parts of Africa to spread that genetics of the Eastern Cape. Everyone always says something mean about people from Eastern Cape. We're lovely. We're so friendly most of the time anyways. But you can see the female's chirping. She's just saying, probably saying, I'm guessing, I can't speak cheetah, something along the lines of, don't go too far and be careful. But she can see them. I'm sorry that we don't have such a great view of the little ones playing, but I could probably go closer, but I don't want to push it. They've already, broken boundaries today and walked the closest they've ever walked to the vehicle. So I want to make sure that I keep giving them some space. James Richard, this is something that I'm not certain of, whether they will introduce more female cheetah to the reserve. Potentially. I think that I haven't actually got a clue. I'm not sure what the reserve management plan is for this, and there has to be a very specific one to make sure that there aren't too many animals. But I will chat to the researchers. Here comes the incoming cub, and see what they have to say. But they've only just introduced this female cheetah. They only introduced her last year, so they might not do anything just yet. Maybe they'll see what the survival rate is of these two cubs and how she fares. So let's see. We still need to have a look at the 3 male cheetah that roam around in this reserve. They're beautiful. Their story is also quite fascinating, but I'm not going to tell you it just yet. I'm going to save it for when we can find them. But they've been giving us all the slip at the moment, hiding in some very dense areas that is almost impenetrable. And it is impenetrable, and we can't actually even get in there. So that's still something exciting. To show you all. We can't see everything all at once. Like I said, it's an enormous reserve. It takes us, when we get to the north, and if I just drive through the reserve and I take like a scenic way there, to get up to the Makutsi River, if I don't stop and I drive at like 20 kilometers an hour, 25 k's an hour, you can't do that all the time because the roads do get a bit bumpy. Oh goodness, I can't tell you how long it takes. Like 45 minutes to an hour. It's a long long drive just to get to, and that's not even the most northern part of the reserve. That's just to one of the most northern rivers. There's still another 500 hectares on the other side of that river, which is quite big. Okay. We're going to see if we can get a better position in a minute. Off you go back to the wild dogs that for some reason I called lions, but they're actually wild dogs.
Luckily, these wild dogs haven't moved too far, so we drove around across one of these little dry riverbeds, and we found them all lying in the road, which is very cool. There's still one or two that seem like they're wanting to get up and move, and that could be a few that haven't really had a proper feed morning. The rest of them, all the bloody, this is full-bellied. One seemed quite happy moving too much, not big in the way. Just that they still, I mean, I mentioned a bit earlier, like if this was a pride of lions, they would have gone and found a spot at least for private while still trying to out if there's another opportunity. I think more important, ensure that there's nothing nearby. With a carcass. Okay, so what we all and get a spot and you back to.
Sorry about that, guys. There's so much happening on drive today. And now we have this wonderful interaction between mum and cub. They've left the carcass now and they've come to have a drink. A tiny little water hole here. When I mean tiny, I mean it. Just gorgeous. So many spots. So many. Now this cub is quite adventurous. She strays away from mum quite a bit. Now this is a good opportunity. Hi Donald. You'd like to know if Kuchava's cub is close to the same age as Sibuyi's cubs? Yep, I think it's about 2 months difference. Or around there. Sibuyi's cubs are about 9 months. This one I think is about 7. They're going to the little watering hole there. So they are close. Hello, girl. Hello, my girl. Well, luckily for us, they are heading on the road more and more. In fact, the kill is not far from the road. They both stray away from each other quite a bit. So either we get to see the cub or we get to see mum. You're just relaxing there. Yes, you are. Going to be very tentative as it passes the cars. It's going to be very quiet. Decided to take the safe route behind those bushes. Cool, right? Very cool. Alright, so they're going to now head back to the carcass and socialize. I'm going to send you over to James with some elephants.
We've still got our elephants and they're having a little graze across the clearing here. It was very funny though, while we were just sitting peacefully watching them, one male impala, crazed of course by the thoughts of mating, came trotting past them towards a female herd, and they all got very upset and they chased him off, and then they ran across the clearing, and then they calmed down again. And what's happened now is that the wind has changed, come from our backs straight onto them, and they don't like the smell of human being, or they don't like the smell of Mahindra. I suspect both are equally offensive to the elephant. Lots of animals that will do that. They'll look at you and be totally relaxed until they pick up your scent, and then they turn on and they say, no, we don't want to be around here. Hanging around this vehicle, of course, is very likely to cause some sort of lung disease. So probably wise for the elephants to head off there into the thickets. Well, that was a very pleasant diversion. I'm not going to bash in there after them. That will cause them to get a fright and cause me to get a cut on my face from all the thorns. But we'll continue and see if we can make the trifecta, perhaps. Let's try and find some lions or whatever else there is here while you go back to Karongwe, where the cheetah are now nursing.
That would be phenomenal if we could get lions. My goodness, what an incredible sunrise safari. The little cheetah have now decided that they're tired of playing and need a much needed drink. So that's what they're doing. I bet Mom is happy now that she doesn't have the little ones kneading and biting on her teats, annoying her, as they should be nice and full since she's had a meal. But they'll suckle quite regularly throughout the day, as Mom's keeping them very close by. So I think at any opportunity when Mom sits down, they will latch onto a teat and have a drink. So we think one is a female. Honestly, it's so difficult to see. Hopefully, if they shuffle and lift their tails up, the fluff is slowly starting to disappear now. We should, I reckon, in the next 3 days, or at least the next week, get a good view. I'm also trying to snap a few photos here and there when they turn around and zoom in, but my goodness, the pixelations. I'm not a very good photographer, so we're going to have to rely on Alex on getting us those nice close-ups of their rear ends. Isn't it strange, the weird things that we say on safari? Like, people that don't understand safari guides or just the safari thing must think, why on earth would you want to stare at the rear end at the rear end of any of the animals? Sean, you've exclaimed that these two cubs look like monkeys to you. Well, they've been behaving like them this morning, racing up and down. Monkeys look slightly different, but I can understand what you mean by their small little ears that they have. And then I don't know what other part resembles them. Resembles that of a monkey. But interesting. I suppose we all have our own ideas. Right, Mom said that's enough. We're going. Come on, children. Oh, big stretch. Big yawn. Whip of the tail. The little cubs don't look too impressed with that. I don't think they were quite done yet. But every time we've seen them, these little cubs have had the fattest of fat little bellies. Lots of milk, proteins and things in that milk that will keep them full. Unfortunately, not as nutritious as hyena milk. Remember, with hyenas, they don't need to be suckled every day, as sort of the cat species do. They get left for a couple of days on end without having to drink. Oh, shame, I've just noticed Mom has a big tick on her chin. We'll try and have a look at that. Oh, look, at their little white tips have started to develop on their tails now. I'm trying to think, that's cute. They're getting lighter and lighter every single day. Hello. It's so bright now. I feel like I'm going to have to go back and look at the footage, because I swear just a few days ago, at least a week ago, it was still super dark. Don't touch the fence. Now, if you're wondering and you are nervous about them, as I am with them touching the fence, there are a few thousand volts in this fence. It's obviously there to keep elephants from escaping. But But don't worry, it's not a constant current, it's pulsed. So if you touch it, they might get a zap. It's not going to kill them. It's going to be sore, though, that they wouldn't want to touch the fence again. But they're not going to get stuck on the fence line. So no need to worry about that. And I can talk from experience. I have touched the fence so many times. The other day I did it not once, but twice in the space of 2 minutes. So I haven't learnt my lesson yet. Let's hope that the cheetah youngsters are a little bit more intelligent than I seem to be. Mom's not happy with them climbing up that mound. Yeah, she's come back. She said, I don't know where you're going. I didn't say that you could go up there. Basically being reprimanded. This is so special. See, she's just sort of saying, oh my goodness. Come on, girl. It seems as though we've drawn attention. Everybody's excited. They get a free safari. Whoop! He almost fell down that mound. And we're all coming to just take a good look on safely from the other side of the road. I don't blame them. I always think that that's so nice for people. I remember driving in the Eastern Cape where I'm from, and from a national park where this female cheetah's mother has a few genetics, driving up and down fence lines trying to sneak a view of amazing wild animals. But we'll see what happens here. We're going to keep following these cheetah for a little bit longer. Off you go now back to Eric, and I think he's still with the dogs.
These wild dogs have moved a little bit more, and I think our signals hopefully improved a little bit, so holding thumbs, and they've just stopped, and just look at all of their ears, all pointed forward. They've fixed, and just up ahead of us is another nice big open space where we've seen some impala, and for the last 2 or 3 minutes the impala had no idea that the wild dogs were here, but then all of a sudden one of the youngsters, one of the ones in front, moved forward a little bit more. See, now they're all taking off again. So they're still looking and potentially interested in hunting, so we're definitely going to stick with them. A few of them calling. Still time for playfulness, even though they're looking to hunt. Maybe not looking to hunt the way that they're moving through these open areas so quickly now. Just so amazing to be able to follow them on the move, and luckily they're moving on the on the open road where we'll be able to follow them nicely. I think we definitely saw one impala that became aware of the wild dogs, and unlike lions and leopards where they'll watch the potential threat and alarm call at them, that impala turned and as quietly as it could ran away from them. So it was just trying to not let the wild dogs know that it was there, just because of their different hunting styles. I mean, the predators, or the cats at least, are ambush predators, so as soon as their cover's blown, the hunt is over. With the wild dogs, as soon as they see something and they've seen it, it's pretty much the hunt has just started. Amazing. Brody, I also think wild dogs are amazing, and there's just like this air of excitement around wild dogs when you get to follow them moving through grasslands like this. There's a couple that have moved off the road, a few of them still on. See, and why I say I think they still might be looking for an opportunity to hunt is they're not moving forward and trotting like they usually do. They'll move a little bit and then they stop and listen, scan, maybe try and smell something. If there's nothing around this area, then they keep moving forward. Whereas if they're just trying to get from A to B, if they're trying to get to a water hole or something, then what they'll do is just basically just run straight towards it. Now, I was saying there's a few individuals that are very enthusiastic about this hunt, and a couple, like that one sitting down, obviously had a nice big feed and it's happy to not really hunt. It's just amazing how in sync they are, and they're all listening to the same thing. So as soon as there's a sound, they all turn their heads right. Those big satellite dish ears are quite remarkable. I'd love to know what sounds they're capable of hearing. one of the things that I'm sure they'll be listening out for, and it's pretty evident from this morning, and why they managed to catch that ram is, I mean, those impala rams are rutting, so they're making as much noise as they can, declaring their presence to females, making sure that other males aren't coming to try and take over their little territory. And I'm sure that's exactly what they're taking advantage of at the moment. There's one so there's a couple of individuals that we can recognize pretty quickly. That one there on the right hand side we saw was the last one feeding on the carcass. So that's one of the males. A ladybird with a few of the individuals that I was just about to point out, that one with a tail, one with very floppy ears. These are all part of the Ngala pack, and they all except one are here. I hope you can hear that. That is insane to hear them calling like that. Yeah, that's amazing. Seems like they're a lot more playful now, so they've obviously determined that there's not too much in the way of hunting, or potential hunting. And ladybird, so that one with that small little tail is a very characteristic one within the pack, and then another one we'll point out to you is the one with the floppy ears. So that's one's pretty easy to identify. And then I'd like to try and show you the matriarch, or not the matriarch, sorry. They're not elephants or hyenas. They're, or the alpha female at least, and she's quite easy to recognize because she's got the very defined row of teats. How am I doing there, Marcel? Oh. If they carry on moving here, they're moving into some dense brush, and we might not be able to follow them as much. We'll try and stick with them for a little bit. We'll basically, there's another road that's only a few hundred meters on that side where they're heading towards. So we might try loop around and get towards them. But how amazing is that? Them trotting through that golden grass in the early morning is really quite something. And all slipped into single file following one of the oldest ones of the pack, and they've disappeared. So we're going to quickly try and loop around to the other side. If we don't find them, then it's too dense for us to follow them, so we're just going to quickly go and have a look to see what's going on with those leopards that Trishala has, and we might see you again soon.
Hopefully you will catch up with those dogs. It's just been an amazing morning. Cheetahs and wild dogs and beautiful leopards. They've finally settled down just a little bit on top of the mound near the carcass now. Played around on the road briefly, and I think this little one is getting used to our presence, which is quite nice. It's a very rewarding feeling. Can you see the way that Mum's tail is wiggling and wiggling? It's almost an automatic thing, because young cubs, and you would know even with your house cat, something moves just a little bit, they've got their eyes on it and they're ready to pounce, and that's a great way for them to practice those essential skills that they'll need when they're older and they need to fend for themselves, and they need to be able to be fine hunters. There's a hippo in the background also that's occasionally getting the cubs. Oh, the cub's attention. It's like, oh, I want to lick myself, but oh, Mom's tail is just so great. It really is an amazing drive. You have I can sit here with a leopard cub and you're not with me the whole drive because there's so many other things to see. There's such variety. And there you go. Taylor is at it again. Cheetah Cubs playing with her. So let's go over and see.
Well, she's up and down the fence line, but I'm going to stop in just 2 seconds. Ta-da! Then we'll watch him. It's starting to get quite entertaining now. We're back on the fence line again. She's just going up and down. She goes in and then she stares at something in the bushes. Remember, they're always looking for something to eat. She is also getting unbelievably frustrated with these two. As cute as what they are, is they've now become very brave and they think that they're adults and independence and they can do what they want. Look how far away they are from Mom. Look at that. That is badly behaved cheetah. And at one point, she turned around and she's making these sort of kinds of sounds. And she marched back in there as if it was, you know, when you hear your mom saying, I'm counting to 3. 1, 2. And then she raced into the bushes and she got hold of the cheetah cubs that weren't listening to her when she was calling them. See how she stops in, that tail, flicking it. She's very frustrated that they now think that they can do their own thing and can race around and they're stable on their legs. This is where it starts to get tough and stressful for her. At least she hasn't just got one of them. Like I said when we first saw them, they've got each other to keep it entertained. Otherwise, Mom will be playing a lot of tail chasing games, or the cub will be playing. Little ones will be playing lots of tail chasing games. They are so naughty. Oh, there we go. Lift those tails up, please. No, now they go too fast and we can't keep up with them. And pause, little cheetah. I wonder if they're both not little girls, but we'll see. Wild K, they are, you know, they're vulnerable from the day that they're born. Remember, we're lucky if any of these little ones make it to adulthood, and that's quite common in most cheetah litters. So when they get to about a year old, they're going to be spending a lot of time with Mom, and they're definitely going to be learning to hunt and joining in on hunts. Again, they're probably going to ruin most of the hunts for their mother, but that's just how it goes. They have to learn somehow. So it's just dangerous for them now. With them getting left behind like that, anything could pop out onto the road and snatch them up. I think some of you may remember from many, many years ago, but I know there's so many new viewers now. I told a story about how I watched a tawny eagle almost snatch a leopard cub while I was in the Sabi Sands working down in the south. And it was the most terrifying moment I've ever seen. I couldn't believe it. So not only are they susceptible to bigger predators, even a snake would eat a cheetah cub, and then of course birds of prey. That was a horrible sighting. I'm trying to remember who was in the sighting with me, which other guides. I think they've also all left now. But yeah, that almost happened. Luckily, Mom was close by and she sort of ran out. The cub was responding to Mom's call. She'd come back after she'd made a kill and was coming to fetch the youngster. So the little one was running a short distance to get to Mom, who was waiting on a termite mound. Almost a big mistake. So these things happen. All the animals are opportunistic and will take any opportunity they can. But settling down a little bit now and obviously grooming one another. Mom giving them a groom, little ones learning to repay the favor and also give Mom a bit of a groom. Shame she doesn't get much help, but at least they're trying. Right, we'll sit here for a little bit longer. Maybe we'll do another segment just after you spend a bit of time with the wild dogs.
Out wild dogs are so moving this in contact. Been hearing them ping for a while, and Masala and I counted them. There's only 11 of them. So the dog have heard the calling distance, and so they find one. And I'm hoping we've got a really, really good It didn't sound like it was so open. They're still calling. They're in the road. See, they've stopped. They're going to my check.
Guys, at least you managed to find the dogs again, right? Now, both Mum and Cub are back at the carcass, so we're going to swing around. Careful, Darby. I can't remember when the last time I've had to move so much in a leopard sighting was. But then I also don't want to get too close, so I'm moving in quite a roundabout way. Hi, Isaac, in Arizona. In Arizona, you'd like to know why leopards have, or some leopards have blue eyes. Leopards generally have blue eyes when they're very little. And generally, they can have different colored eyes. And the color of the eye depends on the amount of melanin that they're producing and the type of melanin. There's a couple different types of melanin you can produce. I'm just going to turn it around so we can get them on my right. I see them. Interestingly, there's also something called neuromelanin. That's also, well, melanin is a pigment. So there's eumelanin, which is the darker melanin, black-brown melanin. Then there's pheomelanin, which is the red, orangey-brown melanin. And then there's neuromelanin. So animals that actually have a deficiency in melanin, such as albinism or leucism, can potentially have problems, neurological problems as well, if they lack neuromelanin. She's very alert at something that's coming this way. I suspect there may be some hyenas that she can smell or something like that. And I can hear things shuffling as well. Cub is still at the carcass. Just hidden a little bit. Oh, Kuchava. We're going to have to play Ring Around the Rosie again. Actually, I'm just going to sit tight here at the carcass now. They're either going to be on the mound or they're going to be at the carcass, so I'm going to wait for them. Although I have tried this, but hopefully I'll be successful this time. Oh. Last little glance, Cubby has just walked out and is gone. Alright, well, Taylor has some cheetah cubs suckling. Hello. So we're going to send you over here to have a look, and then I'm going to try and get a good position for these guys again.
Right, back with us again. Little ones have settled down after a little sprint and once more suckling. His mom, sorry, there's just some vehicles going past, which is what you can hear. You can see I think they're going to go to sleep soon. Their eyes are growing heavy and they're not even looking around as much anymore. Oh, that one's getting frustrated, perhaps not getting as much milk as it is hoping to. If they don't stop drinking, they're going to burst at the seams. Their bellies are getting so full now. Oh, I think it's a southern white-crowned shrike that just grabbed her attention. Now, I love it when we get questions from all the young children from all over the world. And Kaylin, who's 10 years old from Dublin, Ireland, I'm assuming. It would be awkward if Dublin wasn't an island, hey? It is, I haven't made a mistake. Goodness gracious. I don't know if I was that good at geography at school. Whew. Okay, Alex is confirmed. So there's the white crown shrikes again. So they sleep wherever they want to sleep, Kaylin. So they've got all this bush to themselves. She's going to be very, very very, very wary at night time, because that's when all the other big predators come out. So all the lions, the leopards, and all other kinds of scary animals that might be a threat to this female. So she'll probably tuck herself underneath a tree. At the moment, it gets so cold at night here that there's a lot of dew, and I don't think she wants to be very wet at night. But fortunately for her, there are lots of these big rocks that hold lots of heat from the day. So I'm just saying, if I was an animal and a cat that could climb particularly well, I would go and sleep on those rocks and keep nice and warm. It might be like having an electric blanket of sorts. So there are quite a few flat ones in here, because those little ones aren't quite able on their feet just yet. They're still very young, as you can see. So I think that she probably pops herself on one of those, or maybe she just sleeps and tucks herself away and hides from everything in a bush. But we don't come and see her at night. So cheetahs normally spend most of their time active during the day, and we don't really want to put a spotlight on a cheetah at night time, especially with these young cubs. If you're lucky enough and you have infrared lighting, which is a special kind of light that humans and animals can't see, but the cameras can pick it up, then we can put that on them and see what they do at night time. But the vegetation, all the trees and the grass, it's too thick to do anything like that here. But I also don't really want to spend time with her at night, because I don't want the cars to draw too much attention to her, and maybe a sneaky hyena comes on over and says, hey, what's going on here? So Kaylin, that's where cheetahs sleep, not in a nice warm bed like you and I with nice fluffy pillows and a blanket. And maybe if Mom's kind enough to make us hot chocolate at night, they don't get the luxuries that we have. But I think we're going to say goodbye to the cheetah. They've been very, very good to us today. We'll give her a much-deserved break, and off we go to the leopards, who have decided they want to have a view from the top of the trees.
Finally, they've settled down a little bit. Now both of them are in the tree, and that's just beautiful. Just note how Kuchava's tail continues to swing. Such a natural toy for her little one. Oh, we have two resting leopards in the tree now, dangling. Just adorable. Oh. Hopefully this now means that we will be able to get a better position. That's a lovely tree that they've decided to climb in. It looks like a false marula. Oh, just adorable. Erica, you'd like to know when are leopard cubs referred to as adults? Generally, like I said, age of independence is 1.5 years, and they're sexually mature by 2.5. So I would say 2. Sub-adult is still about 1.5. So by 2, they'd be an adult, right? Because at that time they can start to successfully mate. 2.5 years old is generally what's quoted for their sexual what do you call it? Maturity. There we go. This one's still got some time. Oh, so many dangling legs and tails. If Kuchava's cub could see this image, I imagine it would say, look at me, I'm so big. Because the legs of Mum and the tail of Mum look like it's the cubs. I love this scene so much. You could almost go and tickle their toes, it looks like. Don't do that, obviously. So many rosettes. I'm quite surprised that so far no hyenas have come along. I'm very glad for them. That means that they can eat well. Well, I'm going to swing around and maybe find a better position. If this is not our best, I'm going to send you over to Eric with the wild dogs. He's been doing amazingly and he's caught up with them. So let's go over.
Still with the wild dogs, and look at their behaviors completely changed now. We were talking about how the one was calling in the distance and it was getting closer and closer. They eventually joined up, but the joining up ceremony was a little bit anticlimactic, I guess. There was no real playfulness and joy amongst the pack. And I think what happened is that one that was running in saw the behavior of the wild dogs and it literally just slipped in line. There was one or two that came across and greeted it, but then it just carried on and it followed the pack and they were all running together. So there wasn't too much in the way of an actual greeting and a joyous ceremony, I guess. And we're going to try and follow them for a little bit longer. It now looks like they're looking more for a place to rest, so they're stopping more regularly. And once they get to the next road, which is not too far away from us, they will cross into an area that is just way too big and vast for us to follow. It's a block that's got about 2,500 hectares without any road network in it, so it's quite a tricky area to move through. But we are very, very close to an area where these wild dogs denned last season, and it's literally, there's a termite mound. There's two termite mounds actually that are just to the left of the road somewhere here. And so that's why we're trying to stick with them as long as we can, to see if perhaps maybe they're going to look for possible den sites for the season. Last season they had already given birth. The female gave birth to 4 pups that we know of. Oh, sorry, 9 pups actually. The previous season was only 4 pups. And so we're really, really hoping that they try, or they do find a suitable spot somewhere around this area of Ngala. That one that's in the front there is looking very, very fat. I think that actually could be the alpha female. It's hard to tell after a meal because they're all looking so big and fat. It's really quite amazing. I mean, we must have in a straight line, we must have covered about at least 4 or 5 kilometers, and we've only done that within the last maybe 45 minutes or so. And at one point we were literally driving at about 30 kilometers an hour trying to keep up with them, and the front part of the pack was still gaining ground on us. And that's just a casual trot. That's how they move around. And just see when they're running through this area, they're running through almost a corridor of long, tall grass. Sassy Kathy. I also really, really enjoy wild dogs, and it's one thing to watch them, but another thing to try and follow them, and it takes a lot of practice to be able to stick with them. Luckily, they're driving or running straight down a road, which makes it easy, but once they go off road, that's when the most exciting part happens. So I was just saying, I mean, they're running straight down this road, and on either side is a wall of grass. If they were to run in it, they would literally be running with grass right on their faces, which won't allow them to see ahead of them. And so they much prefer to use a road like this where they can see down, so if there is a potential threat up ahead, they can plan and hopefully avoid the situation. Whereas if they come face to face with the lion, that lion has got a very good chance of killing at least one, if not more, of the pack. And now again down to a walk. There's one or two areas here that are very, very close to that termite mound. I think there's a couple of tall trees that I recognize on the left that they are walking towards. All just again stopping and listening. Come up to a little bit of a ridge line, so they might be able to scan down ahead of them just to see what they're running into, make sure that there's nothing there. You know, I first thought that they were going off for their second hunt for the morning, but I think that was a little bit wrong with them finding and reuniting with that last wild dog. That must be what they were doing. Recall, why was that one eating dung? I actually didn't see it, so if it was happening now, I mean, it must have been a herbivore poo, and they do it all the time, and I think it might be just to get some extra bacteria for digestion into their stomach. They eat all sorts of funny things. I've seen them eating centipedes and millipedes along the road. You most commonly see hyenas eating poo. I mean, they've got such a good digestive system, they don't really care what they eat. So if they're following wild dogs and the wild dogs are dropping their dung on, they'll go over and eat the wild dog dung. Amazing. They've got no slow gear. It's if you're moving at a quick pace. If you're not moving, you're sleeping. And they literally walked for 20 meters. That was their little cool down for the morning, and now they're literally all sleeping on the road. There's still one or two that are up. There's one on the right-hand side of the road, which we can't really see now. There's another couple on the left. But the majority of the pack are making use of this nice short grass to rest in. And that also, I guess, prevents ticks and parasites getting onto their skin. Amanda's asking what will happen if two wild dog packs clash. And, I mean, they will fight with one another, but typically the pack with the most dogs will win the confrontation. So it could even happen that if two wild dog packs see each other from a distance and one determines that the other one is bigger, they might just turn around and run away from them to avoid that confrontation. If you know that there's a good chance of you losing and potentially losing a couple of pack mates, then what's the point of getting into that confrontation? If they're a similar sized pack, then there's probably going to be a little bit more competition, and then they might end up fighting with one another. With wild dogs, they don't really have a territory that they're looking to protect. And so it's not completely vital that they need to protect this land. You know, they can turn around and go someplace else without really interfering with another pack of wild dogs. I mean, lions, leopards, hyenas even, they're all extremely territorial, and so they'll protect their land with their life. And a lot of the time, male lions will kill each other for their territory and to, I guess, for new prize. But not so much with wild dogs. And so they've chosen to come and sit on this ground in the grass, on the bare patch of grass there. If they lie in the grass, like I was saying a bit earlier on, there's more chance of little ticks and parasites getting into their skin and annoying them. So a bare patch of ground is... Kirsty's asking if there's that noise in the background, and it's actually some anti-poaching dogs that are barking. And they're part of the South African Wildlife College, and they are an incredible unit of dogs that go out and track poachers. They're incredible. And I was chatting to one of the people that look after those dogs, and they say that they can follow a scent running at about 2.5 minutes a kilometer. And so they can outrun humans any day of the week. And so if there's a fresh set of tracks of poachers coming into the property, those dogs will be the first responders, and they'll chase until they eventually find those poachers. And luckily though, these wild dogs have hung around this area for so long that they're completely used to those dogs, so we don't get interactions between them anymore. Alrighty, so now that they've settled, it looks like they're finding a spot to rest for the day, and they'll probably be here for the majority of the morning, probably up until the late afternoon. So we're probably going to leave them and go and try a slightly different area. In the meantime, we're going to send you back to Trish.
I think we need to find some lions. What do you say, Eric? I'm sure he'll be able to. Hear the teeth at work. The little one is somewhere in that thicket too. If we're super silent, it may come out too, so let's keep it down. See if we get lucky. Hi Arlia, you're 12 years old from Ohio. You have an excellent question. You'd like to know if leopard mums choose trees close to the ground for their youngsters to learn how to climb. Not really, actually. I remember seeing Shadulu's cub, or Shadulu in a tree, and her cub was about 2 months old maybe at that time, and it was a tiny thing. It was the smallest leopard cub I had ever seen, and Shadulu was about 3 meters up in a tree, maybe even close to 4. And that little cub climbed up around the tree, around the tall trunk that wasn't close to the ground, climbed and made it to the top. It's such a natural thing for them to be able to climb. And it's also a very secure thing to be able to see mum do it with such ease. That they feel very comfortable in their ability. I don't know if I've seen, I mean, you guys would know if you've seen other sightings with Kuchava of her in a tree. I can't remember one with her in a tree, as in with a kill in a tree. Cool. She's pulling this carcass further and further in, which is another strategy she may use instead of hoisting it. How's that, Darby? More? Oh, the sun has come out. You can see the tree shaking. She tries to pull it further and further in. So that's how she'll try to protect her carcass, and like I said, that's a different strategy to hoisting it up into the tree. I'm glad they're both there eating now, and everybody is happy. I'm going to send you back over to James for a bit of an update. Let him know, or you can let him know what you'd like to see.
We had a little bit of luck in that we had Hukumuri's tracks, we thought steaming fresh, followed them. As they crossed out of the reserve, we heard kudu alarm calling to the south. And so I swore very loudly, and then I slammed the door of this car, and I behaved like a very spoiled child for about 5 minutes. And I'm still coming down off my tantrum at this calming waterhole. So I think the trick now is to probably go to the hyena den and see what's going on there. Cargo Cult, I don't know if you're asking this in an attempt to be amusing. Are flies the top of the food chain because they feed on lions? The food chain would be the animal that killed lions as opposed to, or preyed upon them, as opposed to one that scavenged on them. A fly doesn't really prey on anything, does it? It sort of scavenges on whatever it can get, so I wouldn't say a fly deserves that sort of level of credit. But if we're going to go down that road, then the highest feeder, the top of the food chain, the animal that eats the pinnacle of processed food, or processed nutrients. If we go from soil, we go into the grass and the trees, so that would be the most basic form of unprocessed nutrients. Then we go from the nutrients of the herbaceous material into the herbivore, so it's been processed one level. Then we go from the herbivore into the carnivore, it's been processed another level. And then we go from the carnivore into the dung of the carnivore, and that is the final processing. And therefore, one must conclude, if one is going to define it like this, that the hooded vulture, which eats the poo of the lion, is in fact the top of the food chain, because it eats the most processed nutrients. That sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? We also had tracks of a female leopard coming onto the reserve, most likely Shidulu, but they weren't particularly fresh. We found a lot of bushes, a lot of trees, a lot of grass, a bit of soil, some mud wallows, a couple of birds, and this water. So not quite as successful a morning as young Trishal is having with her leopards in a tree.
Yes, we have had a good success with leopards in a tree. And now she has moved to the tree that I found her in yesterday. So, which is great for us because it means I can be out into the road and not have to traipse around the block full of dead trees. Ah, what a beautiful marula you've decided to sit in. I'd love to see if a cubby gets up there too, I'm sure. Oh, what poise, what stealth. Now that is just iconic. A leopard in a marula tree, one leg dangling, and that tail with that curl. Oh, spectacular. We've been so lucky this morning. So the little one is eating at the carcass now, so I decided to just leave it to eat a little bit. Oh, there it comes. Listen. Shh. Oh no, Ma, we're stuck. hope you heard the rustling of the leaves. Very high. I'm just going to grab that name from you, Kirst, because I thoroughly agree. This is a beautiful sight. Voo! You say, what a beautiful sight. Could not agree more. Imagine this is happening. This is happening right now. Right now, at this moment, down in South Africa, this is happening. How special that we get to be here at the right time, in the right place, and most of all, that it's not just us that can see it, but all of you as well. Guess it's time for rest and relaxation now. Marion, you'd like to know if this fall would be fatal if they fell out? No. Just like your domestic cats, they're very, very agile, very quick on their feet. They land, not softly. They can land with a thud, but they generally won't hurt themselves unless they land in a very awkward position. Remember that they have evolved to go up into trees, so if there's one thing they know how to do well, it's climb trees. The highest kill that had been hoisted into a tree was 11 meters high. So they are very experienced, and certainly this 4 meters, 5 meters is nothing. Say 4. How poised. I hope it will be a baby-filled morning, and James is continuing to grow this hope as he's with Ribbon at the den. Let's go see.
Well, Ribbon at the den is doing what Ribbon does best, which of course is absolutely nothing at all. She is lying there. Her belly is slightly emptier than it was yesterday. She looked like she'd swallowed 46 buffalo on her own. Her babies continue to be the shyest hyena babies in the history of hyena babies. They play for 3.5 minutes a day, and then they stay inside. Maybe this is a new thing. Maybe it's a new generational thing in hyenas, where actually they just lurk at home and play computer games instead of coming out and playing like they used to. It is quite astonishing how little time they spend out. Either that or we just all have the worst timing in the world. Ribbon? Come on, give us a display. No? Don't want to? Yes, Ribbon is the most relaxed hyena ever. I mean, the less kind might describe her as indolent or idle, I'd certainly tend towards that. Relaxed she might be. Unmotivated, she certainly looks. Complacent. Bone idle. These are all things one might apply to Ribbon, I feel. Certainly, deeply relaxed is one of them. Many of you now making jokes about the fact that her cubs are probably locked down and that they're only allowed out very briefly for exercise every day. Maybe that's what it is. That's a really good point. Ribbon, is that why your cubs don't ever come out? They can't stay in there forever, you know. Eventually you must let them out properly. They must come and play. Yeah, you're right, Owen. It must stink to high heaven in there. Just licking a bit of viscera off her front leg. Oh, shame. Tough morning, huh? No, Kylie, you see... you say I must cheer up because I found the leopard cubs the other day. That was a wonderful day. I will not lie, but today I am frustrated again. For I thought we got really close, really very close. Ooh, she just... Did you hear that? Her head thwacking into the dirt. They are so tough, these animals. They really have an unbelievable toughness. The kinds of bashing that a human being would really be hurt by. Cheryl, you want to know why her nose streams? Does it? I haven't noticed. And if it does, I'm not sure why it would. I don't know. Yeah, she is wiping it a bit. Right, we'll sit. She looks a little bit active. We'll sit here for 10 minutes and then we'll move on. But in the meantime, let's go back to the leopards in the tree.
Our leopards are truly relaxing in their tree now. Little one is very adventurous. It's climbed up quite high. Somewhere in it. Oh, there we go. It can look quite scary sometimes, I think. But you can see that Kachava has no worries as to her little one's ability. This is just a beautiful sight. There's nothing to say to you. The sun has come out. Everyone's relaxed, satiated, mostly. And safe in a tree. Ooh, the hyena cubs are out. Let's go.
Well, I think that's quite strong. There we go, there we go. Yes, hello, little baby. Welcome. Get off your PlayStation and come outside. Come on. Come on, little one. She got up and called them. And then we had them. And now we haven't got them anymore. Well, that was exciting. Can you see the ears? Evan says he can see the ears. I can't see them where I'm sitting. Oh, right. Okay, good. There we go. Hi, little guys. That's so cute. I think the steepness of the den really does make a difference. You see, I think she took my advice. I think she's... No, Matthew, I don't think I hurt their feelings. I think they took a stern piece of advice from me, and I think they've taken it to heart. Although they don't seem to be taking it very seriously. Do it again, Ribbon. Come on, call them out. The performance so far has not been that amazing. Come on, little chaps. Out you get. Come and say hello. I wonder if they just find it really hard to get out. Yes, and as Kirsten is pointing out, of course, they've only got half an hour left of the exercise window before the blue lights will come and chase them back inside. Yes, Kay Pepper, I think that's absolutely right. Ribbon has decided that my sulking needed to improve. And so she's decided to pull her babies off the PlayStation and bring them out. Oh, come on. Yes. There we go. Our Ribbon gave them a fright by sitting up. I don't know if you can hear her, but she's talking to them. She's going, whoa, 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 whoa. X-Ranger is absolutely correct. Ribbon does need to change the Wi-Fi password. So quite possibly they know how to change the Wi-Fi password and she doesn't. Or she's lost it somewhere and can't change it. She keeps looking up. I wonder if there isn't another hyena around. It's amazing how quickly her belly went down after she looked so grossly overweight yesterday. JP, there's a kind of standard issue den down there. They've got a room each, bathroom, bunk beds, a small kitchenette, a little playroom where they keep their toys. It's quite fancy. You know, not all of the hyenas have got a den like that. It's normally just the matriarch kids. The rest sort of normally just have a bedroom and a cupboard full of their blocks and things. Now, actually, inside there, it is a little bit more elaborate in that it is a hole, but there are a couple of shelves, apparently, that the hyena cubs lie on. Good. Well, Eric's luck continues to explode into the stratosphere. Let's go back to Ngala now.
We just found a male leopard. Unbelievable. We were driving along the road. You see him through there? He's disappearing. Ooh. So we were driving down the road, not really looking for anything in particular. And all of a sudden we just saw an impala run across the road and this leopard was right behind it. But unfortunately for this leopard, it failed and that impala got away. And now it's just gone into some very long grass. There we go, straight ahead of us. See, yeah, it's amazing how this animal can camouflage so well. You can just see the top of its ears sticking out. So nice. I mean, these conditions are just suiting the leopard really nicely. It's cloudy, so it's a lot cooler. The temperatures dropped a lot from what we thought it was going to be this morning. And then more importantly, I think, is the wind. The wind is just swirling around so much here that if an animal were to pick up the scent of a leopard, it might just be a brief, quick little scent and it won't be able to pinpoint exactly what the leopard... Okay, so we're just going to quickly move around to the other side of these bushes. We'll be over to, or send you over to Trish, and then we'll come back here soon.
How cool. Another leopard. Well done, Eric. It's just been a fantastic way to start the week, don't you think? I think so. The Cubs are playing hide and seek with James. But once they start stirring, I'm sure it's just a matter of time until they're out and about, and he will be very, very pleased. And these two are now catching a snooze in the tree. It's so peaceful, so quiet. The air is crisp, wintry, the sun is warm. You can hear the leaves rustle a little in the wind. What a relaxing time these two must be having. Oh, just gorgeous. Alright, well, Taylor has a resident that we normally see here at Chitwa, which we did earlier, and it's an African darter, so let's go over.
Finally, I think the only other birds we've put on camera are the southern white-crowned shrikes because every hornbill seems to fly away. But we are sitting at a dam called Rockfig Dam. You might be able to hear squirrels alarming in the distance. That's not at these birds. These look like reed cormorants, which is awesome. We don't often get to see them. Quite a special one. I've seen some very interesting birds at this particular pan before. It's one of my favorites, but we were struggling with signal. But today, hooray! The signal gods have blessed us, which is fantastic. So it's quite full, nice little granite boulders. We've got some fig trees growing around. There's tambourties and leadwoods. It's a very special spot. And during the middle of the day, lots of creatures come down, like zebra and giraffe. Enjoy a drink from here. And then, of course, you did see the Egyptian goose. But let's focus on the cormorants for now, because it's something that you don't get to see. So as we arrived, I tried to come into this pan as slowly as I could, as to not to disturb them too much. But they were swimming around, and now they have popped out of the water. So We did disturb them a little bit when they were out fishing, looking for things to eat, but now they're drying their feathers on this very well-placed rock. And the one on the left actually looks like it might be a juvenile. It's not completely black like the other one, so I think that it is a sub-adult, which is awesome. This is the first time I have seen reed cormorants here at Cormorants Game Reserve, so I can add that to my eco-training bird list, which is fabulous. Although I actually don't know what I'm on now. Now, 11-year-old young Jane. Yes, lots of animals come down and swim in the watering hole, so it's not just these birds, not just the Egyptian goose, and not just the reed cormorants. Zebras love to swim. They come down and they'll be knee-deep as they drink water to also cool off. I saw some hippo tracks leading in this direction, but the hippopotamus is not here today to waddle around in the water. African buffalo, which kind of look like big angry cows. I'm not sure if you've seen the buffalo yet. They love it here. They don't quite swim as well as we do, but they definitely sit down and enjoy the cool water. Lots of creatures, crocodiles, there's fish. At one point we did see some terrapins, which are kind of like a snapping turtle. Maybe you know what a snapping turtle is, or yesterday I called them water tortoises to make it easier for you to understand what a terrapin is, but it's not a water tortoise. We call them terrapins. And we've got lilies, and they don't swim though, they just float around there on the surface of the water. And I'm surprised we don't have a bird called an African jacana jumping from lily pad to lily pad. That would be ideal. So yes, there's lots and lots of creatures here. Never mind all the insects that are also living in the water. There'll be an abundance of them too. Something is swimming there. Do you see that? I wonder if there's a big catfish moving around. Lots and lots of catfish about here. Maybe some of you even saw the eco-training video where we did a relocation on some catfish that were drying up in a crevice of some granite boulders, and we decided to move them not very far, just a few meters, to a bigger pool. That was quite interesting, getting all the students involved last year as they wrangled these slimy catfish. Some people enjoyed it more than others. So there's lots of those in here too, and that's maybe what these cormorants are after. But there'll be other types of fish and frogs also here. Right, back you go to Ngala Private Game Reserve to see what's happening there.
So we managed to find him again, and he's walking through some tricky areas, but it is getting more and more open. He's stopping and scanning, he's smelling into the wind. So he still might be looking for an opportunity to hunt, and this golden grass is just so perfect for him. He seemed to have stopped, taken in some smells and some sounds, and now he's chosen his direction to move. Sorry, I'm in the way again. He's stopped now, so we won't move yet. He's just behind a bush. Again, that very white tip to the end of his tail, giving it away. There we go. Now he's lifting it up. Look how he's shaking it around. Now he's choosing a different direction. And I wonder, there's a rattling testicular that's alarm calling. I wonder if he decided that the game's over, he might have given his position away. So now he's coming straight towards us. Snarling in frustration to that bird. Just love that tail. Look at the little loop at the tip of it. There we go. That's probably a bit better. Again, moving through one or two dense areas. He'll stick on that pathway. This is definitely the Makoti male. So the youngest male leopard that we have in this area, and probably one of the reasons why he was unsuccessful with that impala. He just doesn't have the experience, doesn't have the strength, and so unfortunately, although he was right behind it, it was a very close call, but he got unlucky, or the impala got very lucky this morning. And so that's what I think he's doing, is just trying to look for another opportunity. And that's why he's moving through such a dense foliage, just to try and remain hidden. I think I'm just going to do a big loop around this thicket. Yeah, that tail is super cool. Whenever I see it curled up like that, it's almost just like they're showing off as to how beautiful they are. Get the full leopard in picture. Okay, I need to choose my route quite carefully. Not too much of a way through here. I'll do another loop. I think there's a gap up ahead. You're right there, Marcel? Cool, there we go. We're through the thicket, so hopefully we've made it in time to catch him walking straight towards us. Just talking about how amazing it is for him to have gone through what he's gone through and still to be thriving in this area. For him to have lost his mother at just around a year old, to him trying to avoid his father, the dominant male in this area. He really has been doing such an extraordinary job, and he's adapted so well and very uniquely. You see him, Marcel? Yeah, it's amazing how quickly these animals disappear. So I'm just looking for that little white tip to the end of his tail, maybe the black spots behind his ears. He wasn't moving too quickly, so I think we would have made it in time to see him. Alrighty, so it seems like Trish has got some leopards that are a little bit more compliant, not really moving around too much this morning. So whilst we try and find our leopard, we'll send you back to Trish.
It's so important to have those characters that are compliant while you look for those that are less so. And that's why this little one has been promoted. Yes, we now promote you because you're now comfortable with us. And Kuchava is actually down from the tree, probably at the carcass. We decided to wait and watch this little one. It's nothing like a little one's dismount. Thinking about it, I love watching them think. Oh, there we go. There we go. Wendy, I'll get to your question in a moment. Let's just watch this. And we've made it down. Wendy, you'd like to know if there's ever been a study done on leopards' tail signals? We're going to go around here. There's a couple that have been done. I think only maybe one or two that are actually published, as in scientific journals, or that mention it, but not specifically on it. So there's a couple of reasons. The wiggling of the tail. Most guides would say it's mood that determines the wiggling, because you see it when they hunt. Sometimes it can be that if there is a cub around, it acts as a follow me, so the cub can see that the adult is hunting, so do not approach. follow me basically means pay attention to me, as opposed to simply just follow me. So if the adult is wiggling its tail, the cub, which is normally behind it, is able to recognize that and then not move. It's a signal to the cub. That's the wiggling. Then there's also the curl. So when the leopard's tail is curled, the really stark white underbit can be seen, and that acts as a typical follow me sign, as in, you can't find mum in the bush, but here's this white flag to let you know where she is. There's other signals that leopards will do, such as they'll raise their tail very high up into the air when they're being alarmed at by birds, in a white flag kind of fashion, as if to say, yes, I know you've seen me, please stop now, because now you're going to blow my cover. So there's that too. Very interesting stuff, but still these are theories because it's difficult to test. Anyway, I'm going to send you over to Taylor, because Taylor, I believe, has a video that she'd like to show you, and hopefully I'll be able to spot these leopards again when you get back.
So we're still at the dam, but there's something that I wanted to show you that I started showing you yesterday, but sadly we couldn't get enough signal to get the video. So remember, I told you about the sighting, and I showed you a picture basically of a young male leopard killing an impala that was seen up on the northern river. Okay, Makutsi. Okay, sorry, we've got some technical difficulties. We'll be back right now. Off you go to James.
We are just driving along after leaving the hyena den. We found a very fresh leopard turd on the ground. Well, I don't know how fresh it was. We found a relatively fresh leopard turd in a track next to it, possibly from Shidulu, the leopardess. Anyway, that's why we're driving along this road. The hyena cubs, I'm afraid, I think went back to sleep. Anyway, it was nice that they stuck their heads out slightly to say hello to us. I keep saying soon they'll be out permanently, but I think maybe we're a little bit off that. It must be fairly soon. Feeling much more cheerful now that there's a bit of sun out. Well, it's nice to have a bit of sun. It's always a good spot to look down into the valley. Oh, good. Well, it's now video time at Korongwe. Let's go back to Taylor and see what her video is about.
James, stop teasing me. I'm going to try my best. Okay, we're going to watch this video. I got it. Are you ready? There's the impala walking around, and then a baboon barks, which you probably are not going to hear. There he stops. He goes, I wonder what the baboon had to say. Never mind. I'm just going to carry on looking for my females and defending my territory. And then that's where it all happens. A leopard sneaking in the grass leaps out, obviously grabs the impala. It's a huge impala ram. We think it's a male. That's what they thought. I think it's a male named Matimba, but I'm not sure just yet. We're still waiting for confirmation on an ID. You can see how the leopard is struggling to pull this impala down to the ground, and struggles for quite some time. You can't really see it. It's just at the back. How awesome is that? So I'm just going to turn the phone away because obviously you can't see what else is there. Now, there is more action to that saga, but I'm not going to tell you what else happened. You're just going to have a look at Eco Training social media, Instagram and Facebook a little bit later, because you'll see what else happens. Now, I'm not sure of the full story. I didn't get to see the guys that filmed this last night at Kurongwe. So they'd seen it. Okay, so I'm not going to spoil too much of it. You'll have to go and watch. But they had actually seen the leopard, and then they were just waiting for it at a distance, I'm assuming. And the impala just walked straight into it. At this time of the year, it's not uncommon, as you've seen with Trushala and Kuchava, that impala rams are taken probably more than the ewes now, as they're not concentrating. They're so focused on fighting with one another and defending their territories, and then of course also chasing after the girls and mating with them. So it's quite funny. Can we have one more look at those reed cormorants that are just on that rock? It's been quite entertaining. They come up and sun themselves. Like I said, it's been quite chilly all day long. I'm still dressed up trying to bake in the sun. They're just drying off their feathers now, but they keep going in for a dip. I'm sure there must be plenty fish, and I hope that these darters, they're not darters, Taylor, they're cormorants. These cormorants stick around for a bit longer. I've once even seen African black ducks here, so we'll try and do a bit more birding at this pan, maybe in the afternoon. Right, I showed you a leopard on a video. I think it's time you get to see one in real life.
I'm not Eric, but I do have an update. Yeah, the leopard Makoti moved off into a dense area. We couldn't relocate him. We looped around a few times. So now it's time for mid-morning fun fact. I don't even know episode what. So today's fact is the largest tree in the world is a giant sequoia in Sequoia National Park in America. It's called the General Sherman, and it's 1,487 cubic meters. So that's 1.4 million liters of water, basically, or that's what it would displace. And it's 83.8 meters tall. It is not the tallest tree. The tallest tree is redwood, also in California, and that is 115 meters, and that's called the Hyperion. Thanks. And I'll give it back to Eric.
Don't say you never learnt anything on safari with me. Luckily, Marcel's here to cover up for me not teaching you anything. No, so like Marcel was saying, that unfortunately, the leopard has moved off. And so we're going to stick around the area just in case he does decide to move towards the road. So a few minutes, probably only about 7 or 8 minutes left of the show, we probably will say goodbye to you unless something's changed. But in the meantime, we'll send you across to James and see what he's up to.
He's driving on towards the clearings near camp, hoping for a last-minute stroke of some luck of description. Oh, there's some impala, Owen. Quickly, cast your camera. Are you having a good day? Yes? You are having a good day. Well, you're alive, aren't you? We saw quite a nice little herd of impalas that were probably about, they're just over a year old. They're quite easy to age, aren't they? Because they're all born at the same time. And their horns had just kind of curled towards one another. And so they would have been born in the November of 2018. And they are not part of this mad, ridiculous rut carnival / fiesta that's going on here. And so they have one more year of peaceable living, and they're living in a little bachelor herd. And every so often one of them kind of half makes a sort of slightly aggressive move towards another one, and I think it's just general play fighting, but there's no way that they have anything like the testosterone surge that these chaps have. And I felt quite pleased for them and semi-sorry for them that this is their last year of peace before they go into the madness of adulthood. where they subject themselves to the dangers of fighting, the dangers of being not vigilant. And I think Guchava's got an adult male impala as well, doesn't she? So that's on the 2 leopard kills we found in the last, 4 or 5 days. Adult male impala. Then we've seen the hyenas with at least 2 adult male impala heads. Taylor's video just had an adult male impala getting flattened. So really quite, we often talk about it, but now we're really seeing it. That at this time of the year, adult male impala are being smashed. Whereas at other times of the year, you'd expect it to be the youngsters. And it is normally the youngsters. When these guys stop their nonsense, they become much more formidable, much more vigilant, much more careful. Thank you, Sir 50. Really, I would like to find a leopard this afternoon, but it is simply my being, what shall we say, curmudgeonly when I don't find a leopard. It's such a pleasure just being out here, especially as the sun starts to cast its smile on my face. Oh, yes, I must just tell you, as my wife has just reminded me, Grant from Torchwood left Torchwood today, and there's going to be no one in camp, and so he and a chap from Buffelshoek managed to find Tundi's den yesterday in Torchwood. They've kind of known where it's been, but they haven't managed to find it, and they found her and the 2 cubs yesterday, and they very kindly invited me to go and just see where they are. And we weren't expecting anything, and we got there, and we got the most magnificent view of Tundi and her 2 cubs on a rock from about 65 to 70 meters, so it was quite far away. And I'll show you a little picture if you'd like. They're all looking fine. They're both absolutely great. And I will post this on the Instagram profile later on. So this is that really the best we can do, Owen? And so I'll post this on Instagram. I think that we're looking at 2 lady cubs. I think they're 2 girls, but there might be a male there. I didn't get a good enough look, but I think what we've got is 2 females. So that was tremendous. That was really kind of them to invite us to go and look. And she's going to be now left on her own there. There's going to be no one around that area for the next, I think, 3 or 4 weeks. So I don't know if she'll come back to Djuma. Maybe she will. I don't know if why she went there. I think it's the rocks. There are lots of nice rocky crevices and things. And interestingly, those cubs were very nervous when we arrived. They disappeared, went inside a rock crevice. She then came out, or she didn't move. Tundi didn't move. And then slowly the 2 of them came out. So we had a very special time with them. And I'm most grateful to Grant from Torchwood for allowing us that privilege and pleasure. Anyway, nice to know that they're both absolutely fine. And there is a small part of me that is semi-pleased that they are where they are, because they have been left in such complete privacy, except that they are more nervous of vehicles than other cubs I've known that age. And that's just because they haven't been around vehicles, but they'll quickly habituate because their mother is habituated to vehicles. So maybe they'll come back towards Djuma today, maybe they won't. I'm hoping Guchava will still be in her tree this afternoon, so one of us, Lauren or I, will go along there and enjoy her along with you, and the other will continue to scour Djuma for whatever joys there might be. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your questions and comments. Thank you for the cheetahs, the lions and the leopards and the elephants. We'll see you this afternoon at 3 o'clock.